and I'm very honored and pleased to have a personal friend of mine who I had the pleasure of meeting when I did a study visit last year to Iraq. I had the opportunity to meet a very smart doctor by the name Srood Maqdasy.
Thank you.
And he also happens to be a member of parliament in the Kurdish regional government. And when I heard that he was coming to Sweden to visit family members, I took the opportunity to also invite him to the Swedish parliament to meet with some parliamentarians and also talk about the situation for Assyrians and other minorities in Iraq and maybe also in the region itself. So I'm happy to have you here, and I'm looking forward to listening to your
Speech.
thoughts.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for your kind hospitality. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to say for all of you, Shlama. Shlama means hey, hey, in your language. This is my language. I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk and share with you certain issues and worries of my Khaldo-Assyrian ethnicity that concerns you too. Iraq is my homeland country and has witnessed years of dictatorship and violation of human rights of all its components, and resulted in instability in the whole Middle East. It was supposed for my country to be a different country after getting rid from last regime in 2003. In return for such unstable condition, Iraq has been paying a dear price at a time when ethnic, religious, and small minorities representing various elements of the Iraqi people, such as the Khaldo-Assyrian, Yazidis, Shabak, and Turkmen, experienced tremendous tragedies because they were the most vulnerable groups within Iraqi society and because they lack in various means of self-defense compared to the majority. We as Assyrian, for example, we are the oldest indigenous people in the area. We had a population of more than 1.5 million until 2003. This number dropped dramatically and in an alarming way to a critical number. And I'm so sorry I can't tell you our number approximately because it's too low, unfortunately. And still our number is continuous to drop, particularly after our historical area, Nineveh Plain and Mosul city, has been attacked and invaded by a terroristical group named as ISIS. These attacks causes the small elements to face serious challenges that threaten their existence in their homeland. From the first day after the fall down of Saddam regime, my ethnicity was subjected to continuous direct targeting at their individuals, religious leaders, and churches, in addition to various forms of demographical changes in their historical lands, and affecting their direct characteristics and changing their culture, civilization, and religious identity in the absence of any developmental projects and deterioration in the basic services in most of these areas, as well as lack of job opportunities. This was accompanied by the absence of any effective political, social, legal, and security solutions by the central government. Ladies and gentlemen, the recent events, especially after ISIS had controlled a large area of many Iraqi provinces since June 2014, including the province of Nineveh and the area of Plain of Nineveh, which is the historical home for Assyrian, Yazidis, Shabak. This area that represents a model for many Iraq in all its rich culture, civilization, and religion. This have led to serious catastrophe by ISIS and caused the displacement of more than 1 million minority groups and following acts of ethnic, religious cleansing and crimes that mount to crime against humanity and genocide, especially the killing of thousands of Yazidis and abduction of thousands of Yazidis and Christian women in Sinjar and areas surrounding it. All the area of Nineveh Plain became empty of their indigenous people for the first time in the history. For the first time in the history and more than 1,700 years, the church bells of Nineveh went silent, unfortunately, and no more heard. For the first time across 7,000 years of Nineveh city, it was emptied from its indigenous population, the Assyrian, who were built their Assyrian civilization in the city. The area of Nineveh Plain has witnessed some very serious developments after being under control of ISIS. These events has made the minorities living in an area loss of confidence in the political process in the whole country. They now think it difficult to go back to their original places even when they are liberated from the grip of the armed terroristical groups or ISIS. It also raised voices calling for providing a safe haven for these minorities under international supervision and control for a certain transitional period, because they lost confidence, unfortunately, until there is improvement in the security situation. Otherwise, they will have no other choice than the bitter immigration, which this immigration threatened to empty the whole area from its indigenous people, leaving a negative impact in the neighboring countries and Europe. It remains important for our governments, whether in Baghdad and KRG, the federal government in Baghdad and the KRG in Kurdistan region, to have a real political will. They have to overlook their disputes and take effective steps and measures for addressing the general condition of all Iraqi and the vulnerable minorities, in particular, in terms of preserving their existence and protecting them from all acts of violence, killing, cleansing, and displacement, as well as guarantee their inclusion in the political, economic, and public life through real and effective partnership. Laws and regulations have to be passed to guarantee the rights of minorities. Also, it's important to assure effective implementation of the regulation and laws. And the most important is to address essential rather than superficial issues directly relevant to the condition of these minorities, including political and administrative rights, especially with reference to the right of these minorities groups and administrating their own affairs in their historical land in a manner that would preserve their special character, culture, civilization, and identity. It also remains important to implement laws and take measures that would secure the addressing of the consequences of political decisions made by the last regime and afterward, which still continue to date in terms of violation and demographical changes and land grabbing made in many areas of the inhabited by the Assyrians. If it were important for the international community to support the central government in Baghdad and the KRG government in Erbil in their fighting against the border crossing terroristical group that threaten not only the KRG and Baghdad but also the regional and international peace and security, then what is also of more importance is to support and push the federal and KRG government to protect the existence of the Christians or Assyrians in the Middle East and the Yazidis and Mandais communities that represent the oldest ethnicities and religions in the area. And among the factors for the survival of these minorities and defending them is for them to have a self-defense force on the ground in their area. They have to be provided with necessary means of self-defense in terms of equipment and rehabilitation and training, especially as they already possess the technical security and military potentials, as well as the potentials for building and reconstruction. This is going to make an effective contribution in the future. Finally, my message to you, which is the message of my people, is that we want to continue living in our homeland, to preserve our habits, our culture, our identity, and the most important is to preserve our holy language, the language spoken by Jesus Christ, which still we are using it while talking with families, and we are teaching it for our students. And for achieving these goals, we need your direct humanitarian support, we need your direct developmental support, and we need your direct military support. And the factor of time is very important, and immediate steps from international community are necessary. In summary, the most important for our people is that their areas should be liberated as soon as possible. I am sure that the decision maker for getting rid from ISIS is not in my country, it's not in Iraq. It is something within the international community. They can make the decision when to get rid from ISIS. As soon as we can get them out from our historical area would be better. The sooner to get them, the sooner our people will go back. The more time will be taken, more people will be upset, and more there will be immigration. The second most important is that this area should be rehabilitated and renovated after the IDPs or internally displaced people go back to their historical lands. Without renovation, it will be very difficult for these people to stay there, especially most of this area has been destroyed or will be destroyed during the liberation process. So the international community, if he is really interested with the concept of preserving minorities, small elements, small minorities in Iraq, he should take active steps in future for renovating and rebuilding this area, and to support our government, especially in Iraq. We are facing a very difficult economical crisis. There should be certain political decision or push over the government in Iraq and KRG in order to declare certain administrative rules, so that our people, after returning back in post-ISIS period, they can manage their own area by themselves. This is very important. Thank you again for listening. Thank you. Thank you.
So, if it's okay, we'll do it like this. I will ask a couple of questions to our honored guest, and then if anyone else would like to ask a question, I know that we have the pleasure of having members of parliament here among us. The first question I would like to ask you is that the most important thing at the moment is to get rid of Daesh, ISIS. There has been debates here in the Swedish parliament about which forces in Iraq should be armed, and what type of military support or humanitarian support should the Swedish government help with. So my question to you is the question of which military groups in Iraq do you see as the most important to help? Should it be directed towards the central government, the Kurdish government, the minorities directly? What is your point of view when it comes to this?
I think everybody who is fighting against Daesh or against ISIS should be supported. We really need support, but as you know, in my country there are many military groups, and although they are divided, but they are working against Daesh under the umbrella of Iraqi defense mechanism. Yes, we have the Peshmerga, we have the Popular Motion Force, we have the Iraqi army, but nowadays, we have also military groups that related to our ethnicity. We have them on the ground, and in the last battle in Teleskov, they did their best, and they show a good model of military force that they can stand in front of ISIS and fight against ISIS, and they can protect our historical land. So this is very important and need to be supported, because they are a little bit neglected. They are not paying attention to this military group. Our message from this military groups that belongs to our ethnicity says that we are ready to fight against Daesh, ISIS, and we are ready to liberate our own historical lands. It's not possible for me to sit here or somewhere else and somebody else come and liberate my house. So we can depend on ourselves. We have our own military groups and need to be supported, and we will not accept anybody to underestimate our abilities and qualifications. So I'm here to ask you for direct military support to our military groups, and again to support all Iraq in fighting against ISIS.
Okay, so if I understand you correctly, the support today is less to the minority groups and more to the central government?
Is more for the central government, and it's too little for the Syrian military groups, whether the MPU, MPF, and Wikhnowsha. And I'm sure if there is enough logistical and military support for them, they can do and show the best in fighting against ISIS.
Okay. Another one of the bigger debates that's been occurring in the Swedish parliament is a debate about establishing safety zones in basically liberating areas and establishing safety zones to protect these groups from ISIS. What is your point of view when it comes to this?
Well, maybe the idea or the concept of safe haven was wrongly understood from the international community. When we say a safe haven, this does not mean that we are asking the international community or other countries to bring their military troops in the area and protect the area. No, we want direct supervision from the international community to preserve the rights of minorities. Our problem in our country is that there's some sort of neglection. They are not paying any attention or taking care of the minorities groups. There is what we call it feeling of superiority, and the minorities are so inferior to them. So we believe that international community can create a feedback mechanism so that he will follow the issues of minorities, and he can push both governments in Iraq in order to address and finalize or find a solution or creating any ideas or plan to preserve the existence of minorities. The most important is that how to guarantee these people to go back to their own homes in post-ISIS period. We did actually in my political party, we did a survey among 2,000 families, 2,000 IDP members. 85% of them, they were saying that we see end of the tunnel completely dark. There is no hope, there is no future in Iraq, and it's better for us to save the new generations. So this will create problem for us and for you also. I'm sure that anybody who came and stay in your country, you will support him. So it's better for you to support us staying and living in our homeland than coming here and paying same amount of money or logistical support to stay us. So in both choices, you will support us. So the best is the first choice, to support us in our homeland, staying there, preserving our culture and habit and traditions. This is the priority and importance for us. And then other way, if we come to the religion, nowadays the idea or the concept of preserving Christianity in Middle East is globally recognized. Every country, every government is talking about this issue, and they are saying it's very important to preserve Christianity in Middle East, especially in Iraq and Syria, because in Middle East, where there is the root of Christianity. So if they are really interested in this, we are Christian. We are the first nation who adopted Christianity, and we were responsible for spreading Christianity to China and India. So you can support us also, whether from ethnical point of view as a Syrian or from religious point of view as a Christian. We have no difference within the idea, but we have problem in the implementation. So active steps are very important because factors of time is against us. Every day we have at least 4 or 6 families from our ethnicity are leaving Iraq. They are going to Jordan, to Turkey, to Lebanon, and they are registering there for immigration. So if we can offer them at least a hope in a preparatory step that your areas or your historical lands will be taken into consideration, will be supported by the international community, will be renovated, it will be very helpful. And the most important is that we don't know what's the deadline of ISIS. People are asking for how long they will stay living as an IDP in trains or in caravans. This is very important. So we believe that international community and important countries, and Sweden one of them, and through you to the EU, you can put a deadline for this ugly game so that our people will be happy in going back to their original places in Nineveh Plain.
Okay, so if you would be specific, what type of support will be needed for them to decide to stay?
For the time being, humanitarian support is very important, and liberating their places as soon as possible is more important. And the third support is to guarantee them that the international community will do its best for renovating or rehabilitating this area. I will give you an example. Everybody of us was happy when we got the news that Sinjar was liberated from ISIS. But at the same time, we were shocked when we saw Sinjar. It was 80% destroyed. No more can be used for people to live there. So this had put negative impression over all small minorities, because they thought that this will be the end of their places. So if we can guarantee them that international community will hold a conference for donating money in order to renovate their area or to rehabilitate their areas in post-ISIS period, this would be very helpful for us.
So if you look at the example of Sinjar, it was liberated in November?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
And now it's been half a year. Have the Yazidi returned to Sinjar?
Not yet, yeah.
So they're still living in
as an IDP in Duhok and in Erbil governorates. Yeah.
Okay. What will be needed for them to return? What type of, specifically needs to be done?
It's difficult for them. First of all, nobody can return because ISIS is so near to them. Mm-hmm. This is important. Without liberating Mosul city and getting rid from ISIS, from Iraq totally, nobody will return back, because ISIS is so close. For example, in Nineveh plain, where our ethnicities inhabits, ISIS is far from us 7 to 10 kilometers. So it will be not possible for any of our families to go back to live in Baghdad or in Bartella or in Karamlesh or in Teleskov, and ISIS is far from them 10 kilometers. No way, it's impossible. The most important is to liberate the whole area, especially Mosul city. At that time, people will be satisfied and they will decide to go back. But the decision maker is not in our country. This is the problem. This is a big game, and your country should push on getting rid from ISIS as soon as possible, because we are the biggest loser, unfortunately. Since 2003, our ethnicity, the Assyrian, were the biggest loser. We lost our demography, we lost our existence in Basra, in Baghdad, in Mosul, in Kirkuk, and nowadays in Nineveh plain. So if the situation continues there will be no more people living there. And I'm sure this is not an excuse that going or making the decision of immigration. I'm sure that here or in Europe or USA or Australia, it's a very good situation for living and surviving, but we will lose everything. We were the biggest loser in Iraq, and if we come here again, we will lose, because within second and third generation, we will be dissolved in your communities. So we will lose everything. That's why we are looking for a direct support, active steps from international community, so that we can preserve what left from our ethnicity in our homeland.
Okay, so I have a question regarding the Iraqi government. What they understand, they know the situation of the minorities, and how are they working to keep the minorities in Iraq? What are they doing practically, and also when it comes to making laws, how are they working to keep the minorities from staying in the country, or are they not doing it? It's an open question.
Well, it's an important question. Unfortunately, nothing on the ground is specific for minorities. This is the truth. They are doing nothing. Maybe they are too busy with their own internal conflicts between major groups, Shia and Sunnah, and within the Shia group there are conflicts also fighting with ISIS, but at the same time this is not an excuse to neglect us at all. Regarding the laws and regulations, again, there's feeling of superiority. They are not ready to change any regulation or law for the benefit of minorities. For example, 2 months ago there was legislation about the national card. We begged them to change a small sentence regarding those who are classified as converted to other religion and not to register their kids who are still in the ex-religion. But they didn't accept anything. So there is feeling of superiority, and this resulting in neglection or not paying any attention to small minority group.
Mm-hmm. We have the honor of having Eva-Lena Jansson, who is a member of parliament of the Social Democratic Party, which is also the ruling party in Sweden in the government, the biggest party in Swedish in Sweden to this date. So I think you wanted to ask a question.
Yeah, I want to ask you about the displaced person. How many displaced persons are there around the area? Because I was just visiting Greece and refugee camps, and met lots of people from Afghanistan, but also from Iraq and Syria, of course. So could you say how much displaced person in the area will it be, or how many have already left the country? Do you have the numbers for that?
Yeah, we don't have statistics. We don't have a real number because it's they are moving people continuously. But from minority group, we have 1 million living as an internally displaced people in KRG region and also living in Baghdad and Basra. And the number is not fixed because we have everyday families moving and going out. These are inside Iraq. Also, we have huge numbers are living in Jordan or Lebanon or in Turkey. For example, just in Lebanon, we have more than 3,000 families from our ethnicity only, rather than others from minority groups. And again, we have many IDPs from Arabs and even the Kurds. They are living as IDP. So it is very difficult situation. There is a huge demographical changes, and nobody knows what will be the future in post-ISIS period, whether people will be able to return. And you know, our society, there is in our society in Middle East, there is the concepts of revenge. So it will be very difficult. In the area, there will be a huge process of revenge between Sunni, Shia, Turkmen, Shabak, etc. So there is no, again, there is no real number, but more than 1 million from minority group, they are living as an IDP.
Thank you for the answer. I'm also a member of the Council of Europe Parliamentary Assembly, and we're talking lots about what's happening right now about the refugee crisis, because it's not only Syria, of course, it's what's happening in Iraq and also in the other area. So I will take this question with me.
Okay, thank you.
Får jag flika in lite? I think we as a Assyrian Federation of Sweden, we have been very vocal here in Sweden about another important aspect of this complex situation, and Dr. Srood touched upon it briefly. It is the role of the KRG, the Kurdish regional government, and its different political parties and its armed militias. What many people don't know is that actually the Peshmerga disarmed Assyrians and Yazidis shortly before ISIS attacked Sinjar and the Nineveh plain. And we have proof of this, both witnesses, eyewitnesses to this, and we have the official order in Arabic where they ordered people to hand in their guns, their weapons, and if they did not comply with that, they could face severe punishment.
You say the Peshmerga guerrilla?
The Peshmerga,
yeah.
The Peshmerga, the official Kurdish military group in Iraq. This is on the military level, and also on the political level we see continuous attempts by the KRG, by different political groups, Kurdish political groups, to land grab, facilitate or look the other way when Kurdish clans or influential Kurdish persons take lands that belong to Assyrians. The latest incident happened in April this year in the Duhok province within the KRG area, where an influential Kurdish man started to build on Assyrian-owned lands. And the Assyrians tried to arrange a demonstration against this, peaceful demonstration, and they were stopped by armed Peshmerga, so they could not travel to Arbil to demonstrate outside the parliament. And this has been written about by Human Rights Watch as well in English. It's accessible on the internet on the page of Human Rights Watch. These are small incidents it's part of a systematic pattern of oppression and marginalization of Assyrians and Yazidis and Shabaks, which the Kurdish groups unfortunately still implement. And this is also a big part of the weakening of the minorities. We have been very vocal about this because we feel that everyone is only focusing about ISIS. And we believe that when you focus only on ISIS, you see perhaps maybe just 50% of the problem, of the complexity of the problem. You forget about the other 50%, which has also needs to be addressed in order for the minorities to feel some kind of hope for the future. If you ask now any Assyrian IDP, any Yazidi IDP in Iraq, would you be prepared to go back to the Nineveh Plain or to Sinjar if the security was arranged by the Peshmerga? They would say no, because they don't trust them anymore. It has been tested once, time and time again, and it has been revealed that they cannot trust them anymore. So that's why the minorities need to have locally sourced militias, armed groups to have pay for the security in the areas in Sinjar and Nineveh Plain.
Exactly. We can't depend on our own self. This is the important, that we want those who are looking for us not to underestimate us. We can depend on our own self. This is important, yeah. Yes, sir.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for coming here. I'm honored. And thank you for telling us about everything. I'm a member of parliament representing the Sweden Democrats, and I've for a long time been interested in the conflict and try to push for more help to the region. I know that the Peshmerga receives some support from the international community, but what about the support to the Syrian community specifically? Is there any support or anything from the international?
Well, it's very little support in such a way that they cannot manage a single fight or battle with the ISIS because of the limited support. That's why we are looking for a direct support. And the last decision made by the USA Congress that they will provide military supports for the minority groups was very good, and we do agree with them, and we are looking for the implementation in 2017. This was very good because, as I said, all Iraqi groups are in need for military supports, including the minorities, so that they can protect themselves by their own selves. Yeah.
So how would you describe the tensions within the Peshmerga and the Assyrian groups right now?
We have problems with them, but there is no real tension on the ground at the battlefield. There is negotiation, there is coordination between each other because they are fighting same enemy. There is no tension between Peshmerga and Assyrian military groups. There is no any tension. There is negotiation and coordination between each other, but both they need more and more supports in order to fight ISIS. Yeah.
I will also add to this that Sweden is since a year ago training the Peshmerga. I think it's the number of Swedish instructors is 35.
Yeah, 35.
And they are training the Peshmerga somewhere in northern Iraq, and we have criticized this a lot, mostly because we believe Sweden, as a country with the track record of supporting minorities, should also include specifically the Nineveh Plain Protection Units, which is a legitimate Assyrian force recognized by Baghdad. It should be included in the training program provided by Sweden. It would be a very important signal to send to the minorities that we see you, we support you, your existence, your continued existence is important for us, because what Sweden is doing now is only sending training or military support to one group in Iraq, and that sends the wrong message. Because the KRG and specifically President Masoud Barzani has stated several times that once we liberate these areas, we will confiscate them. They will be part of the KRG, although there are no Kurds, almost no Kurds living in Sinjar or Nineveh Plain. So any military aid to the KRG, to the Peshmerga, without setting any conditions and without including the minorities, is just a green card for the KRG to take over minority areas, and that we think is a bad policy that needs to be adjusted by Sweden and other countries as well.
Now, the liberation of Mosul Mosul was a city with a lot of Christian inhabitants.
Yes.
And of course, I believe that the Syrian groups will probably be a part of the liberation, right? Will they manage to do this together with the Peshmerga?
They will do it together for sure with the Iraqi army, with the Peshmerga and other military groups. They are working together. But from time to time within the Iraqi in Baghdad, there's a problem whether the popular force will be popular force.
The Shia militia.
Shia militia will take part in liberating Mosul or not. Some of the politicians does not agree with this idea. Others they are pushing for this idea. But as I said, the final decision is not in Iraq. This is important. Yeah. The deadline for ISIS is not in Iraq, and who will take part in liberating Mosul is not. The decision maker is not in our country. This is important.
Where are they?
I don't know. Yes.
Except for aid from militaries, what kind of help would Iraq and the region need in civil support to strengthen the civil state and to?
The most important is the humanitarian support for the IDP. Secondly, we have what we call it in medicine the post-trauma stress syndrome. Many of them, they were subjected to a violation and they need psychological support. We don't have such kind of schools or therapies in Iraq. Really, they need care, especially those who lost their relatives. Yeah. But the most important for them is the humanitarian support so that they can continue living and to provide them with the daily living materials. And then psychological support for sure, it would be more beneficial for them.
Thank you. Sorry for not introducing myself since you did before. My name is Maria Paceros and I come from the organization Kvinna till Kvinna, and we work with women organizations, women human rights defenders in Iraq, and they keep saying that ISIS will be destroyed by itself if the civil state and democracy will be enforced in the country, since then there won't be any young people going, and the criticism won't be as strong. And also they have had lots of meetings with the Swedish government when they've been visiting, and they've been asking for this civil support also for democracy and for the organization, and which I understand that the foreign minister in Sweden is pushing for, not only military help. And it's not only the what did you say you asked for, humanitarian, that the society has to be built at the same time. And maybe I think it's important that the Syrians will be part of this and asking for that also.
Yeah.
To be recognized as a minority and to be recognized as a indigenous people.
Indigenous people.
And to be able to build up their own society at the same time, even though there's almost a civil war going on.
Yeah, but building this civil society will take a long time, especially in our locality, and the factor of time is against us. Yeah, that's why we are looking for immediate active steps to preserve at least the minorities, or at least to preserve what had been left from them in Iraq. Later on, we can build a good model of civil society.
I think the situation in Iraq going back since 2003 has just caused sectorism.
Yeah.
Basically, what's happened in Iraq is that's the only people that would have been able to provide with security is your own sect, your own group, which has meant that the larger players, the Shia, the Sunni, and the Kurds have had protection, have been able to, in the same time since 2003, the Iraqi population has increased with 30%. But you see minority groups like the Mandaeans almost being wiped out.
Disappearing.
Basically disappearing from being 200,000 to basically just being maybe a couple of thousand people. You can see that basically the situation is that the only people that can protect you is your own group, the trust on civil society, the trust for the government has totally disappeared. There is no trust for the government. I had, when I visited Iraq, I met with a Yazidi family who were in a camp in Erbilan. She told me, she was studying at the university, this woman, and she told me that, I was afraid every day when I went to university in Mosul, because you could rape a Yazidi woman, you could treat her the way you wanted because she was Yazidi. You could do whatever you wanted to this person, you would still not get anything back. When it comes to, the rule of law, it hasn't existed for many years. Looking at the situation in both Iraq and the KRG region, the example with lands confiscating system is that, even if you have on paper that you own this land, it's your people's land, it's your village. If you're lucky, the court will rule in your favor. If you're unlucky, if they're corrupted, they will not rule in your favor. Even if they rule in your favor, the police will not implement the decision that has been taken. So if you have a situation in a country where the minorities know that your rights will not be respected, and if they know that even if you turn to the court system to get your rights respected, they will not be followed, then they don't see a point of, if you look at the Syrian population, the education level is becoming lower because people are not turning to the universities because they're not feeling that they're being treated correctly, especially if you belong to women of those minorities. Many of those minorities the women are freer than other minority women. I mean, some of the populations, and it's a very big struggle for them to, being able to prosper in such a society. So what you in reality need in Iraq is not funding. Sweden does not need to fund. The country has oil. The country has resources.
We have plenty of resources.
The problem is not resources. The problem is, the mind setting, the sectorism, the not following the rule of law, not having what I think is needed is a secular state. It's not a good. If you look at if the country really wanted the minorities to stay in the country, they would not enforce and put in new laws that meant that you would discriminate any minority based on religion. If a religious person, if you would convert to another religion, then your kid would have to be converted as well. That's not sending a signal to the minority populations that they are welcome in this country. On the opposite, it's a way of telling them that you need to leave. That's my point of view.
Yeah, I agree. The problem is with the citizenship. Unfortunately, we are not classified as a first-degree citizen, and this is the problem. So, if we want to build the model civil society, it will take long time. And I'm sure that our country will face more and more difficulties in the coming future. Again, minorities will be the biggest loser, and they will lose their existence sooner or later if the situation continues so, without any support. This is the problem.
Could you tell us a bit about the situation of women in the country? I mean, it's a very broad question, but I think
you just said that. I think what was conducted against women Yazidis is very clear how they are dealing with the women. 2 weeks ago, there was a victim, a lady from our ethnicity. She was in ISIS hands and being liberated, and now she's suffering from psychological problems. She said that she has been raped 9 times per day, and she has a lot of problems and diseases. And all of them in ISIS hand, they suffered the same. So the feeling of superiority over a female is very, very high in our locality. So this is the situation. And for the minorities, it's the same also, second or third degree citizen. So.
Are they?
Just one question about the Nineveh Plain. But is ISIS occupying all the villages in Nineveh Plain, or how is the current situation now there?
ISIS is occupying all Nineveh Plain, except if you have a map. The Telescope now, and Al-Qush and Bakofa is not part of ISIS map. Yeah.
So how
There
big
is-
is the area?
It's like Lebanon area.
Ungefär lika stor som
10,000
Gotland.
square kilometers.
Yeah, but the occupied area and the one who's non-occupied.
No, the non-occupied, we have 3 villages are not occupied. We have Al-Qush and Telescof and Baqofa. There are other small villages beside them, but well, we say villages because it was neglected since time of Saddam Hussein because of these ethnical and religious changes. The area was totally neglected. When I say village, it's not actually a village. There's no a village inhabited by 30,000 population. So, because it was neglected, there was no any infrastructure, so it's classified as a village. So Telescof and Al-Qush and Baqof are free from ISIS, liberated, and the rest are all occupied by ISIS. You can say 25% of Nineveh plain is liberated. The rest is in ISIS hands.
Who liberated?
Pardon?
Who liberated?
All the military groups, they're liberated. We have the Peshmerga, we have the Assyrian military groups, and we have airline strikes supervising them or supporting them.
Let me just introduce, this is the lady who's sitting here as a member of parliament, Kerstin Lundgren, being the foreign spokesperson for Centerpartiet, the Center Party of Sweden. You can come and sit here.
No,
I
I
have
sit
to
again.
leave because of another meeting. Thank you for this.
Thank you.
Listen to
Thank you.
opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have, if no one has a question, I have millions of questions I could ask you actually. Just a month ago, the leader of the KRG region, Masoud Barzani, was interviewed by Swiss media, where he said that during 2016 his goal is to have an independence referendum taking place in the KRG. What is your view on this, and what will this mean to to the minority regions, the Sinjar, Nineveh Plains, Talamna? Do you think this might lead to a conflict? Do you think that what will happen?
Well, first of all, every ethnicity has the right to determine independence, or self-determination is the right for everybody. For the KRG region, this is my personal idea. I think it's difficult now because we are facing many difficulties. First of all, the major Kurdish political groups, there are conflicts between them. They not all of them do agree with the idea. Some of them saying it's not the suitable time. Nationally or internationally, it needs some arrangement, and logistically. Yet we are not ready, I think so, because we are facing financial problem. The High Electoral Committee is not ready yet. So this is my personal idea. I think it would be difficult to be implemented for the time being. Regarding the other areas, this area, as you know, they are classified as disputed area, including Nineveh Plain. And according to Iraqi constitution, there should be we should go through 3 processes. Then after we will decide the future of this area. First of all, there should be normalization. The situation should return back to its normal situation. All demographical changes should be removed from the area. This first. Secondly, there should be a census or statistic to know the total population living there. And after that, there should be a referendum. People in this area, in the disputed area, will decide their future, whether it be part of the KRG or be as an independent governorate within the same as any other governorate in Iraq, or be a separated region within the Iraq. So this will be final decision of the people. And as I said, this item or this subject is covered by a has a constitutional coverage, and according to the constitution, we should go through these steps, and finally people will decide. Otherwise, in this situation, the area is under control, yet in ISIS control, and we don't know whether ISIS will be destroyed till that time, and people will go back and then immediately can decide. For sure, it will be very, very difficult. So these processes are very important, and we should go through this process. Otherwise, with these demographical changes, nobody can decide, and nobody will have the real will to decide. This is important. And at the same time, we as political parties, we believe that it's very important to have a probationary period after liberation and creating an administrative area for the minorities in Nineveh Plain. There should be a probationary period, at least 10 to 15 years, so that there will be an infrastructure, so that people will have more and will be more free to decide, rather than putting a de facto on them.
Mm-hmm. And how do you see the conflict between the Kurdish regional government pushing, their leadership is at least pushing for a referendum and for independence, and the situation with the Iraqi central government? Do you think this will lead to conflicts, and what will happen if there is a conflict?
We have already conflicts. There's too many conflicts, especially the financial conflicts between Erbil and Baghdad. This will add also another conflict, because I think the priority is, for the time being, is to get rid from ISIS, and later on we can decide what will be the next step in the future. So from my point of view, and to me, the priority is to get rid from ISIS for the time being, and to have plenty of money. Then after that, you can go forward in this step. This is important.
Have you any idea how to build or create a process for building some kind of confidence between different groups in Iraq? Because it seems as if it's it could end up in a even bigger mess in the region.
Yeah. The fact no more there's trust between different Iraqi groups, especially the politicians. There's no more trust between them. And how to build? I think we need a miracle or somebody that it's difficult, and the situation is getting worse and worse. And nowadays, if you see, there are many conflicts between Shia groups and Shia and Sunni groups. Kurds and Arabs, everywhere there is conflicts, and there's no more they can trust each other. Maybe if we can do a reform in the whole political process, so that new generation will come and control the country, will be much better than continue using this generation of politicians who hate each other.
So what you're saying is, So what you're saying is basically the most important thing is to have the larger ethnic groups or religious groups to come together. It's the most important.
This is the most important. This will provide stability for the country.
And what is needed for them to accept changing the politicians, which is not very easy?
I think international community can press over these political parties, so that they can sit with each other, they can negotiate, they can make deals with each other in order to save the country from this critical point. This is the job of the international community, because in the Middle East this is the reality. Usually we have conflicts, and a push will come from the international community, and our people will negotiate and solve their problem together. This is our mentality in the Middle East, unfortunately.
I'm sorry for being late and I didn't introduce myself. My name is Britta Hammargren. I'm the editor of an online magazine of the Swedish Institute of International Affairs. I think the issue, you may have talked about that before I came, but the issue of who should liberate Mosul and who should keep the Nineveh region in this provisionary period that you're talking about. It's really vital. I'd like to hear you.
Well, I think everybody should take part in liberating Mosul city. Everybody, but who would control the province of Nineveh Plain? I think their own people. They should do this duty. As I said, we can't depend on our own self. Nobody should underestimate the minority group. They can manage themselves administratively, and from security point of view also they can manage it. So we can depend on ourselves. There's no need to have a big daddy supporting us or pushing us or protecting us. We can depend on our own self. This is important for us.
But could you said that the decision of when to liberate Mosul it's not within Iraq.
Exactly, yeah.
Where is it?
I don't know. And this is the problem. Our people wants to know when will be the deadline for ISIS. This is very important because people want to know for how long they should tolerate the bad situation. If we tell them, okay, within 6 months will be liberated, so they can tolerate. But if it's an open, so no more can tolerate, and it would be. So that's why they are thinking of immigration, because they lost hope and they see end of the tunnel completely dark. This is important.
How is the situation in the parliament? Are you working at all?
No. We have conflicts, unfortunately, and again we are waiting for your support, for your push, so that the major political groups can sit with each other and solve their problem. This is not the first time in our history in KRG region. There was a big conflict between PDK and PUK at that time, and previous century, and with the push of France and EU, there was European countries. They settle their conflicts and they sit with each other. Nowadays also we need your support because our parliament is not functioning for the time being. We have problem also in Iraqi parliament.
Do you have representatives in the Iraqi parliament?
Yeah, we have 5 seats for our ethnicity in Iraqi parliament and same number in KRG parliament.
Maybe it's difficult for you to elaborate on that, but how would you define the role of Iran in today's Iraq?
Well,
I know it's sensitive.
yeah, no, it's not sensitive. Unfortunately, Iraq is an open stadium, and everybody is manipulating his own agenda inside Iraq. Everybody has his own agenda, and they are doing their best. We know we have countries nowadays. They are fighting each other in Iraqi battle, in Iraqi field. This is the problem, and they are using Iraqi peoples to represent this fight.
How many political parties are there in the KRG government right now?
Within the parliament, we have 17 political parties.
17?
Yeah.
It needs to be, there are the minority groups they have a quota of seats that belongs to them, and they have also different
political
groups within them. So for example, the 5 Assyrian seats are split between 3 parties.
3 parties. Turkmen 4 parties.
Turkmen have 4 parties.
Yeah, and Armenian 1 party.
Yeah.
And
so, but the largest parties
is the KDP, yeah.
KDP and PUK, right?
So do you usually cooperate with other Assyrian parties more than some Kurdish?
Well, we have good relation with all the political parties. We have no problem. But for sure, as a negotiation for raising issues related to Assyrians, usually we negotiate together the 5 seats. Yeah.
And how is if you ask generally, how is the relationship between the minorities? If you look at the situation with the Yazidi, the Turkoman, the Assyrian, the Shabaks, what is their relation to each other? Do you have common interests, common political statements that you make? What type of work do you do?
First of all, there is good relation between them because they are sharing same suffer, and usually they have same demands. For example, if you talk to Yazidis, they will say, yeah, I agree with having a safe haven in Nineveh Plain and minorities historical lands. If you tell him, do you like international supervision, he will say yeah. If you tell him, do you have lost confidence with the governments, he will say yeah. So we share same suffers. Yeah, this is the reality of minorities in Iraq, unfortunately.
And Barzani will stay?
Well, stay on his seat?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's already using his seat now. As I said, the parliament should work. Then we should revise or reform the presidential law. Until then, the parliament will decide.
How do you see the role of Quran?
Quran is a political list. And what do you mean by the role?
I mean, because we met the Speaker of the House who was here just recently. I think you said Mohammed Sadiq.
Yeah.
And of course, I mean, he is not able to enter his parliament because he describes the situation in the Arabic as a coup d'etat.
Coup d'etat. Inqilab, yeah. Well, they describe it like so. As I said, we have conflicts. We have facing many difficulties in the KRG region, and unfortunately, it was supposed that the situation will get better, but unfortunately, it gets worse and worse nowadays. So the parliament, there's no meeting in the parliament. We have no sessions. We are waiting for them to solve their problem, and every day there are meetings between major political groups, but without any result.
But that doesn't impact or have an effect any of the. I mean, we are from Sweden. We are there supporting of the Peshmerga for fighting Daesh. But can you see that this is done in a way that will not affect, for instance, your situation? Or will it, I mean, we are eyes and ears there to see what's happening in a way, but at the same time, we know that there is ongoing conflicts between groups, between clans and so on. So how do you see the impact of the international community in Erbil today on what's happening on the ground?
Well, I think it's not a real impact. I think if there is a will from international community to get rid from all these conflicts, at least within in KRG, they can do it very easily, and they can put more and more press over the fighting groups or those who have political conflicts to settle all these difficulties. But as long as the situations continue so, it means that there is no any will from the international community.
It's only focused on Daesh, fighting Daesh.
This is exactly the main focus is in Daesh, and they are leaving the rest of issues without any concentration. Yeah.
If I may add to that, I believe we are doing we have the wrong approach from the West. The Peshmerga has, according to Amnesty, conducted ethnic cleansing of Sunni Arabs. And what are we doing? We are supporting the Peshmerga with weapons and training. Masoud Barzani is now effectively a dictator. And what are we doing? Delegations are visiting him each day and giving him support from the West. There's strong repression against civil society in the KRG. There are land grabs and other forms of oppressions against minorities. And for some reason, we in the West don't see all of this. And there is great tension between Kurdish groups, and actually a civil war between Kurdish groups was about to erupt just 6 months ago or 7 months ago. So I think we are doing it the wrong way, and we're doing it in a way that increases tensions, intra-Kurdish tensions, and tensions between Kurds and Yazidis, and Kurds and Assyrians, and Kurds and Turkmens. So I think the West could have a better approach to support the fight against ISIS in a way that would not favorize maybe and create more tension.
Yeah, there are a lot from the international community can do it, because political stability in Iraq or in KRG region is very important, and will have a positive impression or effect on the minorities at all. Yeah, whenever we see stability, people will be more satisfied and more happy. So you should continue supporting and pressing on us. When I say press, this pressure is a support for the process of democracy that we are building in the area.
I don't think anyone else has any more questions. So I would like to take the honor to thank Mr. Srood for taking the time to come to the Swedish Parliament and speak on these issues. And I have been working on these issues, of course, for a long time, but I will continue working even harder. And you brought deep knowledge to the Swedish Parliament with this, and I think the parliamentarians who were here and other guests will leave the seminar with more information than maybe they can make use of, but hopefully
Yeah.
they'll use it in some way. And we look forward to continuing our contacts with each other and
For sure. Yeah. Thank you.
seeing each other again.
Again, sure.
And if anyone has any questions or would like to talk to the doctor by himself, you are welcome. Yeah, you are welcome to speak to him, and you're welcome also to. I brought coffee and tea, and no one drank, so you can take it if you want.
Very nice.
And the water was nice.
I would say also you can listen to an interview with Srood on Swedish radio, Ekot. I think it will be aired tomorrow or this evening. And Swedish television, Aktuellt or Rapport will have him also, hopefully tomorrow. Yeah.
So thank you very much for coming today.
Thank you for you.
Yeah.
Thank you for the kind hospitality. Thank you.